European travel and tourism taxation, a deteriorating problem. Taxation related to travel and tourism services continues to be a problem in Europe that is not getting better but is in fact deteriorating. Amsterdam has a controversial VMR tax that largely targets the group travel industry, and it simply does not work. Germany is facing a proposed change in the indirect taxation arrangements applicable to non-EU buyers, which is still intended in 2022 following current suspension. EU destinations suffer a competitive disadvantage because sales to EU consumers of holidays to non-EU destinations remain VAT-free. With COVID-19 vaccinations on a full speed-ahead program throughout Europe and the world and borders opening up along with travel restrictions easing, it is the prime time for European governments to lay the foundation for a travel and tourism-friendly environment. This is not the case. Amsterdam's controversial VERMAKELIJKHEDENRETRIBUTIE tax largely targets the group travel industry, and it does not work. The final vendor to consumer is liable to collect the tax and remit it to the city. This means an EU city's municipal tax department is seeking to recover indirect taxes from companies based anywhere in the world. This is obviously impractical, yet the system is still in place and may grow in scope. In Germany, the proposed change in the indirect taxation arrangements applicable to non-EU BUYERS left parenthesis described here is still intended in 2022 following current suspension. But nothing is certain, and operators cannot price German product with any confidence. They have two options, both bad. Either charge a higher price to cover any additional tax, administrative costs, and still maintain an economically viable margin, or seek to remain price competitive and run the risk of selling at a loss, trusting that such a self-defeating measure will remain suspended until an EU-wide solution is agreed. Leaving aside the question of any government seeking to impose a tax on value-adding activity that takes place extraterritorially, the practical challenges of enforcement are evident. Value adding within the EU must be encouraged, as should the packaging and sale of EU product in Europe's origin markets that secures valuable export revenue. These aims are not mutually exclusive. For businesses in the EU, another anomaly persists. EU destinations still suffer a competitive disadvantage because sales to EU consumers of holidays to non-EU destinations remain VAT-free. With a budget boosted by recovery funding, more Europe is coming. On energy generation and transmission, breakthrough technology for fuels and propulsion, public health coordination and an information infrastructure to keep borders open and fluid, skills training in the digital transition. More Europe is also needed in the form of a reformed EU tax regime that can cope with the complexities of the global travel and tourism supply chain. Change will require unanimity among member states in order to encourage enterprise, ensure equitable treatment and provide adequate revenue. Meanwhile, for Amsterdam, the ironic consequence is that businesses within the city's jurisdiction are likely to suffer the most, either through being co-opted into the business of tax collection required to identify final vendor or pay the tax themselves, or receiving less business because of the deterrent effect. For Germany, its inbound tourism industry already risks the loss of non-EU business due to uncertainty about a tax regime that may apply in just over 7 months. eTurboNews is conducting research to assess the potential impact. For more on tourism and tax, click here. Number rebuilding travel.